Malden is re-energizing,
revitalizing and coming back, reopening,
renewing friendship,
reconnecting and sharing history,
renewing our commitment to protect and serve the community while continuing to earn your trust,
re-engaging our youth and fostering community service,
reinvesting in infrastructure,
recovery, removing the stigma and connecting with resources,
recharging and redefining learning,
rekindling opportunities and continuing to save lives,
rebuilding community through innovation and creativity,
renovating and upgrading open space,
reinforcing housing stabilization,
retelling our storied history,
recreating programs and promoting healthy living.
Malden is resilient. Let's continue the story.
I'm no Superman. I'm no Superman.
2021 was take 2 of the pandemic. For a second year, the Health Department, under the leadership of Chris Webb, was faced with the challenges of COVID-19. The primary focus was on the distribution of thousands of test kits and administering vaccines. Fortunately, right now we are at a 76% vaccination rate and our positivity rate has decreased to 4.09%. A spin-off of COVID-19 continues to be food insecurity and housing instability. This past year, over $100,000 through the city's Community Development Block Grant Program was given to Bread of Life for the purchase of a new delivery truck to help with their food pickup and distribution. In addition, the Malden YMCA received $60,000 to expand capacity at its food pantry on Dartmouth Street. Also, thanks to the efforts of City Councilors Craig Spadafora and Jadine Sika, Malden has been able to offer a community fridge program with 4 fridges located in different areas of the city. This initiative helps residents access nutritious food and save money while also reducing food waste. On the issue of housing, through the Office of Strategic Planning and Community Development, our eviction prevention program continues to help our neighbors stay in their homes. Funded with $500,000 in CDBG CARES Act funds, this program provides rental assistance, legal aid, and mediation services to renters facing eviction and helps participating landlords cover the cost of lost rent while stabilizing their tenants. This program has been a model statewide, leading the Boston Globe to say no city has done more to prevent eviction than Malden. The program is carried out by our nonprofit partners Housing Families Inc. and Justice Star Corporation, and the results are impressive. More than 125 evictions have been prevented, and 90% of tenants who engage with the program are successfully stabilized. In addition, I was pleased to be actively involved in assisting tenants from 33 Park Street, 46 through 50 Park Street, and 84 Linden Avenue. After more than 6 months of discussion between myself, Malden's Community Development Director Alex Pratt, the landlord United Properties, and the United Properties Tenants Association, a deal was reached that will keep 15 long-term residents living in Malden. City Life, Vida Urbana, a nonprofit that focuses on housing justice and tenant organizing, was also instrumental in finalizing this agreement. Further addressing housing needs, a Malden Hub Housing Task Force was formed consisting of members from ABCD, Cambridge Health Alliance, Elliott Community Human Services, Housing Families Inc., Malden Public Schools, Police Department, Health Department, Mayor's Office, and the Office of Strategic Planning and Community Development. This strategic partnership has been meeting since October 2020 on a weekly basis to help Malden area residents in need of housing and housing stabilization services. After working on some of the most challenging cases in the area, the task force has successfully stabilized 84% of the referrals received. To supplement these efforts, we continue to work with housing families to provide an individual shelter at the Oyo Hotel. Through this program, people experiencing homelessness are able to access caseworkers, receive mental health and addiction counseling, and pursue financial assistance to help transition to permanent housing. And finally, we are grateful to Pastor Jerry Whetstone and the many volunteers for once again offering a warming center at the First Church of the Nazarene. In its 4th year, the center now opens a month earlier, stays open until 8 a.m., and offers mental health and addiction counseling services. Streaming in the next category, another fallout from COVID-19 is the increase in drug overdose fatalities. To help battle this epidemic within a pandemic, we formed a task force that is focused on using data and research to better educate the public and address the opioid crisis. A goal of the task force is to directly reach out to those in need, which led to the Malden Cares campaign. This grant-funded initiative, led by the City of Malden Health Department, provided recovery coaches on site at the Malden Center Station every afternoon. This gave coaches the opportunity to directly engage with individuals struggling with homelessness and substance use disorder. The program is overseen by certified addiction recovery coach Donna Aiello, along with addiction recovery resource specialist Paul Hammersley. Finally, we took part in the opening of the Bridge Recovery Center located on Commercial Street, which offers peer-to-peer recovery support. Many were on hand to congratulate Malden Overcoming Addiction along with the Gavin Foundation. Paul Hammersley, a driving force behind the opening of the center, credited his sponsor and friend, the late Don DeSario, as an inspiration and leader of the movement to open a center. The next feature highlights Malden's Fire Department that continues in their long-standing tradition of providing exemplary fire and emergency services. Last year, under the leadership of Chief Bill Sullivan, our firefighters responded to 23 building fires and 5 more in 2022 thus far, including a 3-alarm fire in Oak Grove Square. Led by Deputy Fire Chief Lenny Halloran, our skilled team, despite the extreme weather conditions, was able to extinguish that blaze without any reported injuries to our residents who lived and worked in the building. Also, back in March, our firefighters were dispatched to Fellsmere Pond, where they saved an individual who had fallen through the ice. The professional life-saving actions performed by the members of Group 4 under the command of Deputy Fire Chief Stephen Froyo were nothing less than heroic. This past year, we also celebrated the promotions of 3 officers and welcomed 5 new members to the department. Firefighter David O'Connor was promoted to lieutenant, Lieutenant Timothy Robley was promoted to captain, and firefighter Eric Provatola was promoted to lieutenant. New to the department are firefighters Zachary DeFaria, Jean Andrew Ouellette, Daniel Trench, Daniel Alexis Azate Aguila, and Ralph Thelmack. And as we look to the seasons ahead, Chief Sullivan and I are pleased to announce that we will be working with a consulting firm on a feasibility study that will help us determine the location, design, and construction of a new Malden fire station on the east side of the city. We will be assembling an advisory committee to guide the work of the consultant. We are grateful to our state delegation for their help in securing a $75,000 earmark to fund this endeavor.
If you walk through the garden.
Next, a look at our police department is just a click away. The latest stats show that crime continues to be held in check, and this is a credit to the men and women of the department. Not only do they serve and protect, but they have continued to forge important partnerships. From partnering with the domestic violence advocacy group Respond Inc., as well as Elliott Community Human Services and Housing Families, our police department has worked to build relationships. With the assistance of City Councilor Peg Crow, the department's partnership with Elliott led to the award of the Community Health Initiative Grant funded by Melrose Wakefield Healthcare and Shields Surgery Center. Through this grant, we launched our Community Clinician Integration Program, which involved mental health training for officers as well as a clinician to ride along when responding to calls. We are pleased to announce that the grant was renewed for 2022 with plans for continued training and support. This program has also led to the addition of a full-time mental health clinician. Vanessa Sparrow was recently hired through a grant from the Department of Mental Health. Ms. Sparrow will be a tremendous resource in both responding to mental health emergencies and providing assistance to individuals in crisis. In addition, there were a number of promotions made that have served to expand upon the department's ongoing outreach. Mike Powell was promoted to Detective Lieutenant, while Adam Siegel and Rob O'Brien were both promoted to the rank of Sergeant. Lieutenant Powell serves in the Criminal Investigation Division and serves as the Civil Rights Officer. Sergeant O'Brien is serving as the Public Safety Liaison with our schools, and Sergeant Siegel is currently assigned to patrol. We also welcomed Officers Oscar Rojas, David Kessler, Connor Murphy, and James Oliveri to the department. Also this year, Officers Kenny Watkins and Richard Doherty were credited for saving a person's life after utilizing the extensive training they received on the use of tourniquets. The victim's doctors said that without their efforts, the person most certainly would not have survived. Speaking of training, our officers will soon be trained on the use of body-worn cameras. This initiative, which has been mutually agreed upon, represents the strong commitment to utilize all available tools and resources to keep our community and our police officers safe in a way that is fair, impartial, and transparent.
Paw Patrol, whenever you're in trouble. Paw Patrol, we'll be there on the double. No job's too big, no pup's too small. Paw Patrol, we're on a roll. So here we go, Paw Patrol.
Like any show starring our war heroes, they always come out on top, and so did our Veteran Services Department in 2021. Last March, Director Kevin Jarvis welcomed some true heroes to City Hall to commend their receipt of the Chinese American Congressional Gold Medal. Tony Tun Dao Moy and Edward Mon E. Ji are the only New England Chinese American World War II veterans out of the 500 who served that are still alive today. We were grateful for the opportunity to express our gratitude to them for their devoted service and sacrifice to our country. Speaking of heroes, City Councilor Barbara Murphy and I were happy to honor Vietnam veteran Robert Davidson, who was bestowed with the Quilt of Honor for his dedicated service in the United States Army during the Vietnam War. Rob worked as a medic, providing medical care and treatment for injured troops until they could be evacuated. The Quilt of Honor is given as a token of thanks and remembrance for dedicated service. Also, this past Memorial Day, 2 newly installed bronze statues honoring Malden veterans of the Korean and Vietnam Wars were unveiled at Forestdale Cemetery. We were particularly honored that the Quantico Marine Corps Band was featured at the event. Thank you to Cemetery Director Jim Cahill and Controller Chuck Ranigan for their tremendous effort in helping to make this happen. And they aren't done, as we are now working with Director Jarvis to formally pay tribute to those who served in Desert Storm, Operation Iraqi Freedom, and Operation Enduring Freedom. We continue to showcase those who sacrifice for our country as we tune in to the Malden Public Library. Most recently, thanks to the leadership of Director Doris St. Martin, the library received a Massachusetts State Historical Records Advisory Board Veterans Grant to honor Malden's Black Revolutionary War soldiers. The plan is to hold a memorial dedication this summer. There is also a lot of other great happenings at our library despite the challenges of the pandemic. The use of ebooks and e-audio has been extremely popular, and Storywalk has been an innovative and fun way for children and adults to enjoy reading and the outdoors at the same time. In March, HiRead was launched. This is Taiwan's most popular library ebook and downloadable audio platform, and Malden was the first library in Massachusetts to offer this service. And in the spring, the library opened to the public just in time for my favorite event, the Summer Reading Celebration and Ice Cream Social. On the art front, there was a Small Works Gallery opening, which was funded by John Gizo, Michael Natal, and John Priottle. There were new artworks added by Malden-born artist Gail Fulton Ross, as well as exhibition of the works of John Day. The event included a reunion via Zoom of John's friends from the Malden High School class of 1949. Looking ahead, in 2022, the library will utilize nearly $125,000 of Community Preservation Act funds to undertake Phase 2 of the project to create an archive for historical documents, and will utilize a $100,000 American Rescue Plan Act earmark secured by our legislative delegation for equipment upgrades for the advancement of online services.
When I wake up in the morning and the alarm gets out of warning, I don't think I'll ever make it on time. By the time I grab my books and I give myself a look, I'm at the corner just in time to see the bus fly by.
One of Netflix's top choices is the section focusing on our schools. This year, we welcomed our new superintendent, Dr. Lihia Noriega Murphy, who was excited to come to Malden because of our diversity, the feeling of community, and for the chance to strengthen teaching and learning across the district. As soon as the summer began, we were already proving to her that we are a community that turns caring into action, as the Malden Public Schools was awarded a food security infrastructure grant in the amount of $110,000 for the purchase of a food truck. This has already helped provide students with access to free and nutritious meals by traveling throughout the city. The state's Health and Human Services Secretary, Mary Lou Sutters, was so impressed that she joined us to celebrate this new initiative. The superintendent made a commitment to our community to increase communication and partnerships with our families, and started off her tenure strong, holding a series of community meetings in collaboration with the school committee. Since the new school year began, we have already hosted 38 different family and student events, including open forums and school-based and Title I events. In addition, as recipients of the Teacher Diversification Grant, we were able to support staff with preparation and fees for upcoming teacher licensure exams. This will support recruiting BIPOC staff members and helping paraprofessionals in becoming teachers and creating a pipeline of career advancement. Our work around equity also extends to our staff, who have begun participating in a professional learning community around the book, Culturally Responsive Teaching in the Brain. As we return to school in person, our educators have done what they always do in bringing learning to life for our students. Despite the pandemic, our data shows that our students are continuing to make progress, as we have seen an increase of 8% in reading across all grade levels and an increase of 6% in math. But we also celebrate the authentic experiences that have been truly out of this world. In May, we welcomed NASA astronaut Jessica Mayer to the Beebe School to share some of her experiences around her research and space training. And just this month, we were at the Salem Wood School accepting a generous grant from National Grid and the Boston Museum of Science to provide take-home engineering kits for students. And from my travels in classrooms like this one at the Linden School, we have a lot of future engineers on the horizon. Lastly, I couldn't talk about the schools without also applauding the efforts of my colleagues on the school committee. From an extensive amount of parent and community outreach around the pandemic to navigating the return to in-person learning, our school committee has supported our staff and students each step of the way. This was truly evident in the work they undertook prior to the winter break, distributing over 5,400 COVID test kits to students and staff and making sure families felt secure coming back to school. Staying focused on our schools, when it comes to great stories on Netflix, it's worth hearing about the work of the Public Facilities Department led by Director Eric Rubin. In addition to the staff maintaining and cleaning all of our buildings, the department's mechanical maintenance team, under the supervision of Ron Lassard, worked on replacing the air infiltration systems and updating the heating and cooling systems in all of our schools. These modifications and upgrades come at a critical time and will better position us in dealing with airborne contaminants in the future. Additionally, Director Rubin has taken the lead in helping us achieve the long-standing goal of establishing a licensed student-based health center at Malden High School. He is currently supervising the renovations and build-out to accommodate exam rooms and consultation areas that comply with the Massachusetts Department of Public Health standards. Working closely with Cambridge Health Alliance, who has supported our efforts since the beginning, the aim of the center will be to provide primary care and behavioral health care to our students. Keeping the focus on our students, the Malden Teen Enrichment Center stepped into the spotlight by staying active, exploring new opportunities, and giving back to the community. This year, the staff and youth partnered with the Appalachian Mountain Club and immediately embraced the club's mission of fostering the protection, enjoyment, and understanding of the outdoors. They participated in trainings and learned about hiking and camping, which culminated in a 3-day camping trip at Camp Ponkapoag. Whether designing and painting the enclosures for our community fridges, participating with the summer festivals, assisting with the distribution of COVID-19 test kits, cooking with Julie Mangan from the community garden, or repairing abandoned bikes to donate to the Malden Bicycle Fair, the MTech teens continue to make a difference in our community.
Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living, barely getting by, it's all taking and no giving.
Staying on the topic of youth, the Mayor's year-round youth employment program was an all-star event. Thanks to the efforts of our new Career Services Coordinator, Kashana Harling, more than 40 Malden youth were gainfully employed at a multitude of work sites throughout the city. This is on top of the 150 students who worked throughout the summer. Students have been introduced to career-based programming such as healthcare, web design, and data analysis, enabling them to experience different skill sets while earning money. While primarily tasked with helping our youth, Kashana has taken her work to a new level by also helping adults who need support on finding employment. She has taken the lead with the Career Connections initiative, which connects businesses, programs, and organizations with Malden residents. A webinar was recently held that outlined resources, internships, and scholarship opportunities. For more information, contact Kashana at kharling@cityofmalden.org.
Thank you for being a friend.
Next, we kick off a new season with the announcement of Mike Neal Paul as our new coordinator of the Senior Center. The first order of business for him and his staff was to hear from the seniors about what they wanted more of and what they liked best. As Mike Neal said, after a long haul with COVID-19, we are back and changes on the menu. More bingo? Check. More movies? Check. More crafts? Check. More exercise classes? Check. In addition to these programs and social opportunities, a wide array of daily activities are offered, including computer and technology classes, strength training, and core and balance. The center is also partnering with Mystic Valley Elder Services to distribute grab-and-go lunches and working with the health department to provide a nurse on site. But most popular has been the Zumba classes, where Mike Neal and the seniors left me in the dust, and that was only a beginner's class.
Oh, I love trash. Anything dirty or dingy or dusty. Anything ragged or rotten or rusty. Yes, I love trash. Oh, I love trash. Anything dirty or dingy or dusty. Anything ragged or rotten or rusty. Yes, I love trash.
And for the sports fan, the Recreation Department puts on quite a show. They continue to help residents stay active, involved, and healthy. Despite the continuing challenges of COVID, the department adjusted to the necessary protocols and still offered tennis, pickleball, kickball, and basketball. We are grateful to the many high school volunteers who come on Saturday mornings and give their time to help with the youth activities. New this year, the department also began incorporating non-sports programming for our youth, including art classes and an 8-week manga and comic book making opportunity. They also assisted with the city's fishing derby held at Pine Banks Park and are offering hiking, body sculpting, and adult fitness programs. It is no surprise that an episode on open space would follow the rec department, since many of our parks and playgrounds support our recreational activities. This year, we held a ribbon cutting on the completion of the first phase of the Trafton Park Master Plan. The plan was created in 2019 following a series of community engagement meetings led by Councilor Steve Winslow and then Councilor David Kamel. Funding has included a grant from the Community Preservation Committee, a state park grant, and we have committed an additional $1 million to the next phase, which will include upgrades to the dog park. We are also preparing to break ground on the first phase of the Dever Park project. Led by City Councilor Paul Condon and resident Janelle DeVitz, this project incorporates the community vision laid out in a master plan, which includes improving ball fields, the playground, courts, walkways, lighting, entrances, and adding more than 45 new trees. The plan is to combine bond funding with other sources, including our Community Development Block Grant, a grant from the Community Preservation Committee, and a state park grant. A proud moment was the installation of augmentative and alternative communication boards at our school playgrounds. This initiative came about through the advocacy of Malden's Disability Commission. At one of its meetings, Emen Bouzian Saidi, a Malden public school parent, spoke and described the importance of the boards and how they can assist students with different communication needs. The Commission worked with her to obtain a license through Communication is Key and then secured Synot, a local visual marketing company, to produce the boards. Malden is one of the first to install these vital communication boards in all of its school playgrounds, and the project was highlighted on WCVB Channel 5. Also, in keeping with the goal to make our playgrounds more inclusive, we worked with City Councilor Barbara Murphy to refurbish the Salemwood School Playground. A new resilient safety surface was added, along with sensory play panels to engage students with differing learning needs. In addition, the new playground at the Beebe School was completed and offers a myriad of play opportunities for children of all abilities. A continuing series on Netflix is the progress of our lead line replacement program. This past year, the engineering department, in conjunction with the Department of Public Works, replaced over 300 lead water service lines. Working with Councilor Steve Winslow, a major new initiative in 2022 will further speed up the replacement of lead lines. The use of $2 million in ARPA funds will allow us to replace the lead lines associated with our ongoing water main projects, as well as provide funding for specific streets in areas that serve the most children. Thank you to Malden resident Isaac Slavitt for working with Councilor Winslow, the Malden schools, our city engineer Yam Lip, and our GIS operations manager Steve Farmer to create an application that helps identify the lead lines that pose the most risk to our children. This initiative will help us mobilize our lead replacement program as we await further federal infrastructure funding that Congresswoman Catherine Clark has been working to secure. Moving on to our roadways, this past year we repaved 59 streets and upgraded miles of sidewalks. In 2022, we plan to continue with our 2-year infrastructure program by paving Highland Avenue, Maple Street, Summer Street, Glenwood Street, to name a few, and we will be proposing to the City Council to expend another $5 million to pave additional streets. Finally, with grants secured through MassDOT's Complete Streets and Shared Streets program, we have made improvements at several intersections throughout the city and have included bus lanes as well as more pedestrian and bike-friendly upgrades to provide a safer environment for all modes of travel. This season has been action-packed for the Department of Public Works under the direction of Bob Knox. According to well-known meteorologist Dave Epstein, January 2022 will go into the record books as a much snowier month than average. But the good news is we have once again survived the weather thanks to the commitment of our DPW. In addition, the Water Department, also led by Director Knox, began addressing the challenges of rising water consumption and costs for residents served by the distribution system through the use of smart hydrants. Placing these hydrants within the water mains acts as real-time data collection and monitors when there are flow rate and temperature changes, which allows us to find leaks much quicker. The very first smart hydrant was installed at Murray Hill Park, which was selected based on the elevation of the area. While on the subject of water, the award-winning Malden River Works project is worth watching. Last year, we made incredible progress on this collaborative project to redesign the DPW yard and develop a new climate-resilient public park along the river. With support from our partners at the Friends of the Malden River, Mystic River Watershed Association, MIT, and the Malden River Works Steering Committee, we received a $350,000 Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Grant, $150,000 in state ARPA funds, and expect to receive an additional $200,000 in Community Preservation Act funds to complete the design of the park. This spring, there will be a series of events celebrating Malden culture on the river, previewing what's to come when the park is finally complete. As part of this project, we are also working on plans to reinvigorate the Public Works headquarters. We will be proposing to improve the facade of the building, the yard area, and the interior elements that serve our staff. When the two projects come together, we'll have a reimagined waterfront and a renovated building and surrounding yard that better serves the hardworking men and women of Public Works while also providing a more appropriate gateway to our city. The latest news and important updates are next. A main goal of our Unite Malden 2020 initiative was to establish a diversity, equity, and inclusion position at City Hall. Bibios La Rochelle started with us last March, and like the Justice League, she has delivered. From helping to diversify our workforce with human resources, to training all of our managers and staff, to revamping our employees' handbook, and to promoting vaccine equity, she has already made a difference. In addition, Bibios helped organize a donation drive to support the people of Haiti who were impacted by another devastating earthquake, collaborated with Tailored for Success to organize a clothing drive for job seekers, and also led a backpack drive which provided our students with 500 backpacks filled with school supplies. She also assisted in putting together a job fair with Encore Boston Harbor, while also supporting our youth in the summer employment program. Finally, Bibios is currently assisting with the effort to implement a language access plan, as well as helping the City Council establish a Racial Equity Commission. By way of another significant update, the advisory group on Obama's pledge has just recently submitted their final report on the police department's use of force policy. The AGOP has worked tirelessly over the last 18 months to garner community input, as well as review, research, and identify areas of improvement specifically through the lens of a community member. Their recommendations are included in the final report, which was submitted to me, Police Commissioner Salvatore Giannetti, and Police Chief Kevin Molis. I am committed to working with the Department and City Council to address the recommendations detailed in this report. Another update features last year's announcement of our intent to acquire the old Malden District Courthouse on Summer Street and convert it into the Malden Center for Arts and Culture. The city is continuing to work with our legislative delegation to move the legislation through the State House to effectuate the transfer. In the meantime, we have formed a steering committee to help us engage the community to create a shared project vision and to explore operational plans that will ensure the center is sustainable and accessible to all. City Councilor Amanda Linehan and Evans Petrini, Senior Planner for the Office of Strategic Planning and Community Development, are leading this effort and are joined by a diverse coalition of arts and cultural leaders. Focusing now on City Hall, catching all the great happenings and new initiatives is certainly binge-worthy. First, following months of planning led by Executive Director of the former Malden Redevelopment Authority, Debbie Burke, and Chief Strategy and Innovation Officer, Ron Hogan, the Office of Strategic Planning and Community Development was established, which integrates the MRA staff into a newly created city department. This consolidation achieves operational efficiencies by eliminating duplicate efforts across an array of other departments. The OSPCD is focused on land use and transportation planning, community and business development, climate resiliency, affordable housing, and grants management. In the area of transportation, OSPCD welcomed John Alessi as the city's transportation planner, who immediately got to work to start developing Malden's first transit action plan. He has helped form a sustainable and equitable transportation committee to help guide public input on the creation of the plan. The committee includes 4 residents from a variety of transit-dependent households and who are committed to expanding outreach to fellow transit users in Malden. Now clicking on Inspectional Services, let's check out this department next. It was another busy year with the scanning of all records, documents, and plans, which are now being made publicly available through the city's website. New in 2022, under the leadership of Building Commissioner Nelson Miller, the department will begin converting vacant and/or foreclosed properties to affordable housing. This is made possible by working in partnership with the Office of Strategic Planning and Community Development and by utilizing a state neighborhood hub grant. Mass Housing awarded grants to 5 communities across the state who could demonstrate a viable strategic plan for community revitalization, and I'm proud to say that Malden was one of those communities. The first property to undergo this conversion is the former Salvation Army building on Main Street. Finally, another initiative led by this department followed the collapse of a parapet on a Salem Street apartment building. Commissioner Miller immediately introduced a program to evaluate the older buildings in the city to determine which buildings require maintenance or upgrades to structural elements and to mandate that owners address the situation as soon as possible. This next section is in the top 10 as far as news stories. Last July, I was pleased to present the budget to the City Council utilizing our new cloud-based budgeting software platform from ClearGov. This provides a more comprehensive view of the city and its operations while also affording a user experience that is informative, efficient, and easily accessible. I am grateful to Chief Strategy and Innovation Officer Ron Hogan and Chief Financial Officer Chuck Ranigan, who both worked on the implementation of this new platform. We were especially proud to receive, for the first time, the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award from the Government Finance Officers Association. In addition, this past year, we also announced the City of Malden Transparency Center, which is intended to provide a platform for residents to gain greater insight into city spending and project management. The Transparency Center is part of the ClearGov suite of award-winning software tools for municipal governments. Residents may access the new center through the City of Malden website, where they can review the revenue and expenses of the city, explore demographic information, or review the status of current projects. One area worth discovering in this new platform is the section focusing on the coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds, a part of the American Rescue Plan Act. These one-time funds provide critical funding to help our community recover from the COVID-19 pandemic. The City of Malden is scheduled to receive $45.7 million from the United States Treasury in 2 installments. The Treasury oversees the funds and has released regulations on allowable expenditures, which go beyond public health and include addressing areas such as housing, business support, water and sewer investments, and resident assistance. Our collaborative approach establishes 9 subcommittees tasked with making recommendations that will have the greatest impact to the community. Each subcommittee is focused on a different area and is led by at least 1 city councilor, a city staff person with subject matter expertise, and for most of the committees, at least one community member. Ron Hogan, Chief Strategy and Innovation Officer, and Chuck Rannigan, Chief Financial Officer, oversee making sure the recommended spending meets program guidelines, complies with federal spending, and is appropriately documented. The subcommittees have been busy at work, and our community has begun to feel the positive impact. The Housing Subcommittee, guided by Deb Burke and Councilor Amanda Linehan, is providing over $1 million in assistance to the Asian Community Development Corporation to acquire and subsequently convert the empty Salvation Army building into 100% affordable housing. The Resident Support Team, led by Councilor Ryan O'Malley, is working on a housing stability program that will offer assistance to households who are at risk of displacement. The Water and Sewer Subcommittee, led by Councilor Steve Winslow and City Engineer Yam Lip, has committed $8 million in funds to various projects to improve our water system. Our Facilities Upgrade Team, led by Director Eric Rubin, has already invested over $5 million in HVAC upgrades in our public buildings to improve air quality. These are just a few examples of how we have met the moment in putting these funds to immediate work to support our community. All of this great work can be followed through our Transparency Center, where we continue to lead the way in both engagement and accountability to our residents. A Netflix must-watch is the innovative work of the ARPA Business Support Team, led by former City Councilor Debbie DeMaria, Business Development Officer Kevin Duffy, and business owner Kashana Harling. The team worked to create innovative ways to support our businesses, bring activity to the downtown, and re-engage the community. A true blockbuster was the collaboration with the Office of Strategic Planning and Community Development and the Malden Chamber of Commerce to create and implement a series of outdoor summer festivals in Malden Center. From June to August, the downtown was transformed into an open-air street fair and music hall featuring live bands, gaming challenges, specialty foods, artisan and craft displays, cultural performances, and many other surprises. A sequel to the success of these summer events was the well-attended Winter Festival that included a performance by international opera star and Malden resident Natalia Stico. In addition, we are pleased to announce that Malden will be hosting the 2022 Phantom Gourmet Food Festival in our downtown on June 25th. Starting at the base of the Malden Gaming District sign, the party will go down Exchange Street and wrap around to Pleasant Street with more than 100 restaurants participating. This event, known as the most delicious party in history, will introduce nearly 8,000 visitors from all over the New England region to Malden's own unique brand of dining and gaming. A true indication that our Dine in Malden, Taste the World reputation is being recognized by discerning foodies. As you can see, Malden is back in business, and that wouldn't be so without our continued partnership with the Malden Chamber of Commerce. This past year, the Chamber celebrated their 130th anniversary in true Victorian style. Founded in 1891, the Chamber's support and promotion of local businesses and nonprofits is a reason why they are known as one of the best chambers around. Thank you to the leadership of Joan Ford Mongeau, Marianne Seidman Cohen, and members of the board for their dedication and advocacy to making our city a better place to do business. This wraps up season 11, but our story will continue. Let us keep re-energizing, reconnecting, and moving Malden forward together. Thanks for watching.